With all that being said, my gross sales for 2023 were Hey, what's up? My name's Caleb. I'm a full-time reseller. Today I'm going over exactly how much I made in my reselling business as a solo operation. In this video, I'm not only going to be going over the gross sales for my entire year this year, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a recap of 2021 and 2022, and also going over my expenses for this year so you guys can know what my actual profit is. Before I jump into the numbers, I do want to throw out a little bit of a disclaimer. Please don't compare your numbers to my numbers. Please don't compare your numbers to other resellers on YouTube. This is not a game of comparison. I wanted to come on here and be transparent because I feel like my space in the reselling social media world is to educate and to help people. And it's hard to do that without building the legitimacy of your own business and being transparent with your viewers. So that's what I'm here to do today. That being said, I do want to say that if you are sitting and watching this video and you've never resold something, or you do it part-time and you have aspirations of growing it to something bigger, you can do this. This business is something that you can do if you put your mind to it, if you're willing to stay disciplined, if you're willing to adapt, be flexible, and really treat it like a business. You can do this and you can make good money reselling online. It's not always easy. It does have its own challenges, but you really can make it happen. Before we get to 2023, I do want to go over just my gross numbers from 2021 and 2022, and also talk about my business models during those years, how I got started just briefly, so that can give you the context for what 2023 had to offer. In January of 2021, with the permission of my wife, I took a pair of boots from her closet she wasn't wearing anymore and sold them on Facebook for 40 bucks. I took that 40 bucks and I kept flipping that over and over and over and over and over again, and that led us to where we are today in the business. That first year, I was part-time from January until August. I actually took the leap to full-time just 8 months into the reselling journey. At that point in our lives, we still had very low living expenses. We live in Ohio, so it's not very expensive to live here. So it was very easy to replace our previous income with just reselling. From August till the end of the year, I was a full-time reseller, and I was very excited to make that leap, and I definitely was busting my tail to get as many sales as possible. 2021, in my first year, my gross sales for my reselling business was $104,000. With 2021 being a success, I did have some extra capital left over from that year. So going into 2022, I was really focused on finding a way to use that capital to scale my business quickly. From January to April, before our daughter was born, I really focused on scaling as hard as I could. And I also started selling on Amazon because I knew that Amazon FBA might be a way that I could take a little bit longer of a break when we did have our daughter. I carried on with eBay and Amazon through the rest of 2022 and ended up with $280,000 in gross sales in 2022. It definitely was a grind to get to that $280,000. I worked a lot of long days and even some nights to really get this business scaled and off the ground so that it could provide for my family for the years to come. When I was reflecting on the year before, at the end of 2022, I did realize that the margins on Amazon were just so much lower than eBay, and I was leaving a lot of money on the table by focusing solely on Amazon. Unless I really wanted to go all in on Amazon and ramp my volume up significantly, if I wanted to stay in that one-man operation space, I really felt like eBay was the way to do that. So going into 2023, I decided to refocus and go all in on eBay. After struggling in the beginning of the year to find enough inventory to list on eBay, I realized that in my area, the easiest category to acquire enough inventory would be clothing. And with my background as a personal stylist, it really made sense to me to really dive in headfirst on that category. After about a month of focusing on clothing, I found it way easier to find the amount of items I needed to list. And I ended up listing 15 items per day from the day I got back from vacation in February all the way until Christmas Day. I treated those 15 items per day more like my 9 to 5, and then I did do some online arbitrage and retail arbitrage and quick flips and things like that to supplement my income to, just try to make as much as I can during my workday. In 2022, I definitely worked over 50 hours a week on average trying to grow and scale my business. But in 2023, another focus with bringing those margins up would be getting my time work down to about 40 hours a week. Work-life balance is super important to me and my family, and with my daughter getting older, it was even more important. So as we go over these numbers for 2023, I can honestly say that I rarely worked over 40 hours in a week, and if I did, I tried to squeeze it in on nights or weekends when, my family was either sleeping or busy doing other things. With all that being said, my gross sales for 2023 were $258,947. That's a number I'm super proud of and extremely happy with, especially because I really focused on working less this year and also increasing my margins on those sales. I do want to go platform by platform and break down how much of that $259,000 was sold on each platform. On eBay, I sold $200,502. On Amazon, I did $39,156. On Poshmark, I did $11,155. And I did $8,134 on all other platforms. That includes a couple sales on Mercari that I tried out, a couple sales on Goat for sneakers that I found, a couple sales on Facebook, and some local deals or some wholesale that I sold if I had too much inventory, just kind of random odds and ends. That's what all those added up to. One stat that I thought was very interesting, in my almost $40,000 in sales on Amazon, I paid over $4,000 in return charges, and that's not including the return shipping from the customer back to myself. On eBay, and only spent $6,500 on return charges, and that does include the return shipping from the customer back to myself. If you look at the percentage of the sales I refunded back to the customers for returns on both platforms, that just kind of summarizes why I decided to focus more on eBay in 2023. So now let's get to the expenses in my business for 2023 so we can see what I actually made. So from that gross sales amount, the first thing I had to take out was the state tax that was collected by eBay and the other platforms and dispersed to the appropriate states. And that was just over $14,000. I also paid just under $43,000 in platform fees to all the places I sold items. I paid about $24,500 in shipping fees, $10,500 in returns. I paid just over $4,000 in storage unit fees to store my items. And I spent about $2,500 on shipping and storage supplies. That would include like poly bags, boxes. I bought some new racks for my storage units and things like that. And of course, my biggest expense was what I spent on inventory all year, and that was about $68,500. So if you start with the gross sales and subtract all those expenses I just mentioned, that leaves me with $91,620 in profit. Now, of course, I still have to pay taxes on that number, so that's not what's left in my pocket, but that will give you a good idea of what you can actually make reselling full-time. Hey, what's up? When I was editing the video, I failed to mention in 2022, my net profit was somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000. So even though my gross sales lowered by about $20,000, I still increased my profit by over $10,000. And I worked way less in 2023. So that is why it's even a bigger of success than just the numbers on their own. It's still a huge improvement from 2022. So just want to throw that in there. Again, I want to say that if you are thinking about starting reselling, or you resell part-time, or you resell full-time and aren't happy with where you are currently, it is very possible to make a livable wage just reselling by yourself full-time. 2023 was a huge success in my book, and in 2024, I'm really just trying to build upon the things that made that year successful. The one thing I'm really trying to add this year is to provide excellent content for you guys that helps educate you guys, helps you guys put more money in your pocket and spend more time with your families along the way. I have to give two big shout outs before I end this video. The first is to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He makes this all possible, and to me, he's the most important thing. The second has to go out to my wife. She does an amazing job with taking care of our daughter all day long while I try to work hard to provide for our family. And without that support and the dynamic of our relationship, I know that it wouldn't be possible. If you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to make more money reselling online.